Hello, hello. How is everybody? Hope you guys are good. Hope you're having a good day. It's finally nice here. It's been crappy and cloudy and rainy for days, and today we finally got some sun. So I hope you guys are good. I have a lot that I want to get into today. There is going to be a portion of the chat or of the video where I turn it over to members only chat. Um, that's just something that I have to do. So just letting you guys know. Right now it's open chat, subscribers only, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. So there's a like I said, there's a ton of stuff that I want to go over this afternoon. And it ranges. I got a lot of different things that I want to talk about, but if you guys could give me just 1 second, I got everything pulled up. I just got to get it all in order. All right. So I hope it's going good. I hope you guys are having a good day. It's all uphill from here, right? Okay. So I might as well just jump right in. I'm just going to ask you guys to please hit that thumbs up on your way in. Free way to support the channel. Okay. Oh, where do I want to start? There's so many things. Okay. I think I will start here. Now, you guys now this is not all about Kylie. I just have one thing that goes into another thing that I wanted to mention. So for those of you that have not seen this was a big thing for me. Whoa. All right, so let's play this clip. Sorry, give me 1 second. I gotta do this. All right, now let me just mute myself.
Truckee Downtown Merchants Association, Casting Helm. Hi, everyone. I come to you tonight not as the Executive Director of Truckee Downtown Merchants Association, but as a friend to the family of Kylie Rodney. We have been working tirelessly in this community to find Kylie. She went missing Friday night. To the Executive Director of the Truckee Downtown Merchants Association, Casting Helm. Hi, everyone. I come to you tonight not as the Executive Director of Truckee Downtown Merchants Association. To the Executive Director of the Truckee Downtown Merchants Association, Casting Helm. Hi, everyone. I come to you tonight not as the Executive Director of Truckee Downtown Merchants Association, but as a friend to the family of Kylie Rodney. We have been working tirelessly in this community to find Kylie. She went missing Friday night at 12:30 from Prosser. Our small community is devastated. We are scared, and we want Kylie home. I want to honor the teens right next to me, and I'm going to say this first. Kylie loves music. She is a musician. Wherever you are, the band, unbelievable humble. She would have loved to have been here and dancing with her friends in joy that she.
Now, as you can clearly see, Sammy, not heartbroken at all. Nothing, you know, she's up there laughing. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Can you guys all hear me clearly right now? Can you guys all, if you can hear me clearly and I'm not cutting out, let me know. Okay, now how is the video for you guys? Like right now, it's playing fine, but it was all screwed up in the beginning. And so the video's good. Can you hear the video fine? This is ridiculous that I'm having these problems. Okay, so let's try this again. But as you can see, Sammy is laughing up there. She's not sad. She has zero remorse. She has nothing. Okay, so let me finish playing this video.
Is home.
Right there, Cassie had to lean over to her and be like, she put her arm on her and she was like, knock it off. Like, people can see what you are doing right now. People can see how you are acting, right? You're not acting like your friend is missing. You look like you're having a good old time up there. Okay.
But she's not home. Our longtime local girl who was raised in our community is not home. Hundreds and hundreds of volunteers, community members, and people from the area have met over at the Truckee Donner Rec Department. They have signed up, they have flyered, and they have searched, and they have worked hard to rescue her. Law enforcement agencies with Placer County, Nevada County, CHP, FBI, Truckee PD have been helping in the search and doing a wonderful job. The family is very thankful for our community's help, and we hope to continue the movement because we have hope that Kylie is going to come home. I'm here in front of you tonight just to give silence and time for all the energies to our locals that are here and our visitors that are here and the people that I know are here tonight that have been helping. So let's do about a 5-second silence. If you would close your eyes, you can bow your head, or you can raise your head high to the sky. We have a booth here tonight. Thank you to the Tahoe Community Foundation, and thank you to Truckee Thursdays, in the coordination of Truckee Thursdays. Over in the north side, it's the last booth on Donner Pass Road. You can visit, you can take a flyer, you can ask questions, you can share, you can give to GoFundMe. We have all of that information. We will be at the Truckee Community Rec Department tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. To continue in our efforts to support the civilian volunteers. There's not many more words I can say. Please send love, please be kind, gracious with yourselves and with others. Thank you, kids. You might be wondering why I'm the one speaking tonight. I've been with the friends, right, doing the stuff with the family. I'm also standing before you because I, as the executive director of the Truckee Downtown Merchants Association, we are the agency that coordinates Truckee Thursdays. What a blessing that we have the access to share this with you tonight. We are so, TDMA, so appreciative of all the community members and the visitors that have come this year. 8 weeks, 8 great weeks. And thank you to our community partners that have helped us to put on Trucking Thursdays. This is the last Trucking Thursdays.
I mean, honestly, I feel like they were what's the word I want to use? The teens, like those kids, those girls that were standing up there. It seemed more like this was a thing for them, honestly. Like they got all this recognition. They got all of this attention. They got all of this I don't know. It just, the way she had them up there, it just seems to me like this was more about, look what these kids have done. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, thank God. Look how far we've gotten because of these teens right here. And it's just ridiculous. And that video, I was like, you know what? I ran into it last night looking through my computer and looking for stuff. And I ran into that video and I hadn't seen it in a while. So I went back and watched it last night. And it honestly is like a big freaking play. It's like a big show that these people put on. And then I go back to Lindsay saying it was the community's child. And then and saying that so many times. And I go on to think about her celebration of life, where it was not, the speech that Cassie gave was not about Kylie, but about the community and about how the community has come together. And, it was all the community. And then I go to Biden's speech the other day where he's like, there's no such thing as your child or somebody else's child. They are the nation's children, and with B Grove being 3 hours away, I honestly wonder if they're not all connected, if it's not all freaking connected, to these people who are into this bad, dark stuff, and it's the only thing that would make sense to put on this whole elaborate show, to put on this show just for the people that makes no sense whatsoever. Her car coming out, Nick not seeing her in the car, still don't know what was in the back of that car, still don't know who was in the back of that car. Like nothing makes sense in Kylie's story. It doesn't make any sense. So if you step back from that for a second, was she sacrificed for this community? Was she sacrificed for their greater good? Which is why during her celebration of life, Cassie was talking about how this needed to happen to balance everything out. This had to happen to Kylie so it could balance everything. Like that's how those people are. That's how they work. So, I mean, honestly, it would all make sense. And I'm going to go into B Grove and all of that. But yeah, I sit here and I wonder if it's not all connected, because it would make sense. And if those powerful elite people are behind it, then it would make sense that they're all there covering up the story and they're all there making people shut up. And it would make sense as to know why nobody will talk, why nobody will come forward, why nobody will say a damn thing. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are not going to agree with me, and they're going to think I'm a nutty. But I mean, think about this, guys. Look how long it's been, and we still have zero proof of anything in this case. That's not normal. That's not normal at all. So it would make sense that Zuckerberg was out there searching, and it would make sense that Hembrecht is part of this whole thing and keeping it quiet. And that's the thing with like these societies and these secret groups and shit like this, is that nobody talks because they know what'll happen. I mean, that would make sense to me if they were all part of this whole big unit. Yeah, Peaky, I don't know what they get out of it. I mean, you could go in and you could go down some rabbit holes, let me tell you, looking into stuff like that. But I mean, there are things that they get out of it, I guess, but I mean, we as normal everyday people, we're not gonna get that. We're not gonna understand that, because to us it's just it's craziness, But it sure would make sense as to why this whole show was put on by these people for the public. It would explain why, and me and my mother-in-law have talked about this. We're like, Sammy went off to college, right? We got that video of her, and it's like, how would those people, those kids that she's going to college with, how could any of them trust her? How could any of them want anything to do with her, knowing that this was the way that it was? Why has nobody in college come forward and said, listen, I know Sammy, she lives down the dorm from me. You know what I mean? Like, and come out with anything. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would anybody have trust for her? Right? But it's, and think about the celebration of life, her showing up in the white dress, there being the lady there, the high priestess with the cloak. Like, it would make sense that they're all tied in together. I mean, do you know how many powerful people came from Bee Grove and are out there in the world, and nobody talks about it? I mean, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy to me. So let's get into that, shall we? Yeah, I think I'll do this. All right, the little known history of Bee Grove, the summer camp for the masters of the universe. A private campground in Monte Rio, California, Bee Grove hosts an all-male social club of rich and powerful members who want to misbehave. Future presidents Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon at Bee Grove Club in 1967. Every July, rich and powerful men flock to the woods of Monte Rio, California. There, among the redwood trees, members of the mysterious Bee Grove Club attend talks, gather for elaborate ceremonies, indulge in booze, and let loose away from prying eyes. Now, don't tell me that they don't have... Okay, how do I want to say this? Don't tell me that they don't have victims, I will say, of Bee Grove, of these male elite, these male powerful elite. I mean, you got a pretty blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. Hey, that's just par for the course out there, right? I'm just saying, you can sit there and say, oh, that could be a stretch, but you know what? Tell me then why it's all of these months later and nobody has proven a freaking thing. Not one. Nobody's even proven that she was actually in the car. Nobody's proven that autopsy was correct. Nobody actually saw her in the car. Nick said he saw shoes and a leg. He never saw her face. So tell me, all these months later, and there's not a shred of proof of nothing. Why do you think that is? Shrouded in secrecy, the exclusive all-male club has counted presidents, industrialists, authors, and actors among its ranks. Though members of the club are encouraged not to work while they're at Bee Grove, The annual summer meeting has produced various political compromises as well as crucial discussions about the Manhattan Project. Go inside the hidden story of Bee Grove, the elite gentlemen's club so exclusive that the waitlist to join is decades long. Hold on, give me 1 second, you guys. And Kylie's not the only one. Kylie's not the only one that has gone missing from that area and never seen or heard from again. Mysteriously, right? Though Bee Grove is known as a gathering spot for the nation's power players today, it is more Bohemian origins. In 1872, a group of San Francisco artists, lawyers, and journalists began to gather in the California redwoods to indulge in their shared love of the arts. These art lovers soon decided to expand their membership to include money as well as brains. But within a couple of years, Bee Grove became an elite institution with many of its bohemians pushed out. Wonder why that is? Because money, greed, and power came in and took over, didn't it? Having bought up 2,700 acres of redwood forest for the Bee Grove campground, wealthy members decided to recruit artisans to boost their bohemian credentials. Mark Twain became an honorary member, and even socialist writer Jack London was accepted. But money ultimately won in the end. The members of the club today are all wealthy and influential people, and only men are allowed to join. Today, the Bee Grove serves as a gateway for members to reconnect with each other and to let loose. Let loose. What do you think that means? The most elite, powerful, rich men meet there. You don't think they have girls? You don't think they have victims? You don't think they have shit like that goes through there? What do you think they do to let loose? A bunch of guys hanging out together? What do you think? I mean, it's not rocket science here, folks. The club's motto is "Weaving spiders, come not here," a line from William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. It means that members aren't supposed to work while at Bohemian Grove. However, there have been notable exceptions, including planning for the Manhattan Project in 1942, which led to the creation of the atomic bomb. But considering how many well-known policymakers have been members of the club, this isn't entirely surprising. Past members and guests have included Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, Karl Rove, Theodore Roosevelt, Walter Cronkite, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Barry Goldwater, Colin Powell, and Nelson Rockefeller. Though membership guidelines don't explicitly require a 7-figure bank account, the membership fees would be hard to pay without one. The initial joining fee alone is $25,000, and members must also pay yearly fees. This is all assuming you can even get in the 2,500 member club. Of course, new members must be recommended by several current ones. One former guest told All That's Interesting that the average time on the wait list for the club is usually between 20 and 30 years. Though it's faster if you play an instrument. In 1989, the wait list was 33 years long. 33 years long. Now, that's not by mistake, guys. That's all planned. Let me tell you. Hold on, let me scroll down here. It's honestly just a place where wealthy guys from San Francisco go to be drunk knuckleheads, said the former Bee Grove guest. He added the overriding agenda is to get so wasted every day that any reasonable person would immediately call 911 to get help. The campground setting is perfect for that sort of thing. Do not tell me that a bunch of, like I said, rich, powerful men get together, get to drinking, get to, doing these things, and they don't have any other people there. Bull. And the real shit that goes on, they're obviously not going to come out and tell you about it. Anybody that finds out the truth, the real truth, and nothing but the truth of what goes on there doesn't live to tell about it. It's very rustic, he said of Bee Grove. There are scores of camps within the grove, each with 20 to 50 people. Each camp is unique and has a different cabin or clubhouse. They are all along a main dirt road. As of 2007, the site had some 118 of these camps, with 20 to 50 people in each. The guest added they burn firewood to stay warm and generally just host people from other camps or go visit people at other camps and provide entertainment. What do you think that entertainment is? A portion of the membership is dedicated to actual professional musicians, actors, writers, etc. So there's great entertainment. Yep, that's what they tell you. So look at this picture. Here you have a bunch of people down here. You got their flags all hanging. And then look up here. Al Jardin, a co-founder, guitarist, and occasional lead singer of the Beach Boys, has been known to play at Bee Grove. Sometimes members will get together and put on performances of Shakespeare's plays or hire troops to perform for them. And due to Bee Grove's intimate setting, members often get to meet and mingle with the special guests. But of course, it's not all fun and games at the campground. Though Bee Grove actively discourages members from mixing business with pleasure, world-changing events have been known to occur on the grounds, and not just discussions about the Manhattan Project. In 1967, club member Richard Nixon gave a speech on American foreign policy, which he called the first milestone on my road to the presidency. He also struck a deal with fellow member Ronald Reagan, in which Reagan promised not to challenge Nixon during the upcoming primaries. Bee Grove members can also participate in unusual ceremonies, like the cremation of the care, which involves members cremating a coffin effigy before a 40-foot concrete owl. That's right, the big owl. This has been described as a traditional musical drama celebrating nature and springtime by a spokesperson, but some suspicious outsiders believe there's more to the story, because there absolutely is more to the story. Oh, here we go. Conspiracy theories about the secret club. As with any elite club, rumors about Bee Grove have abounded throughout the years. Guarded by a sophisticated security team and hidden by 200-foot tall trees, the Bee Grove Club has been notoriously tight-lipped about its inner workings for decades. This has led some to speculate that it's not just a summer camp for the wealthy, and that it might actually be a secret society full of ILL members or occultists. Which, not for nothing, but there have been people that have gotten in and released things and lived to tell about it, at least for a little while, right? We have seen things like that over the years. But that ceremony that it was talking about in front of the owl, that's not the only thing that gets done in front of that owl. All right. More than one journalist has made it their mission to report on the mysterious club's inner secrets. In 1989, Spy magazine writer Philip Weiss pretended to be a guest at Bee Grove. He later wrote an expose called Masters of the Universe Go to Camp. You know you are inside the Bee Grove when you come down a trail in the woods and hear piano music from amid a group of tents, and then round a bend to see a man with a beer in one hand urinating into the bushes. This is the most gloried in ritual of the encampment, the freedom of powerful men to pee wherever they like. In 2000, infamous conspiracy theorist AJ, hey, and not for nothing, but the man turned out to be correct, didn't he? Infiltrated the campground with a hidden camera and revealed the bizarre cremation of the care ceremony to the world. Yeah, super bizarre. He also promoted CTs about it. Well, a spokesman for the Bee Grove denied Jones's theory about the ceremony. He admitted that the footage was authentic. So they come out and say that, yeah, well, the footage was real. Everything you saw was real. But what he's telling you is wrong. Come on now. More recently, in 2009, Vanity Fair writer Alex Shomatov was arrested for trespassing after pushing through a hole in a fence to investigate the compound. He documented his experience in a piece for the magazine. But regardless of the CTs or rituals or debauchery, that these investigators claim they witnessed, former members and guests are quick to let people know that the club is mostly for relaxation, a reprieve from the stresses of the world of the rich and influential. Well, duh. Of course your members are going to come out and say that none of that's true. You freaking idiots. You take a vow of silence, like we're going to take this shit to the grave. You ever say anything about it and we will, take your family out. Like that's how secret it is. So it's not a far fetched to believe or to even think that where do you think they're recruiting this entertainment from? Right? They're not just gonna let, people in there that can go out and tell their story. No, they're gonna they're gonna take people in that never leave again. Just saying. I don't buy this conspiracy stuff, one former guest said. Those theories are just a product of the fact that many of the members are wealthy and powerful and there are no phones allowed. Why do you think that is? So people let their imaginations run wild. I know a number of members and none of them are the ILL. Still, the Bee Grove is bound to continue to fascinate for years to come. Tucked deep in the California woods, this shadowy social club for the rich and powerful remains a hazy and intriguing secret. Yeah. All right, let me go over and see what y'all are saying. Yes, DS. That's the one I'm talking about. Ara, 100%. I believe they do. Okay. Yeah, it's totally crazy. And it's really not a far fetch of reality to think that where do you think they recruit their girls from? You know how many missing California girls there are that have never been found? And I think that Kylie's story got so much it got so much attention because people could see right away that something was so wrong with it that they had to come out with this elaborate show. So they got the damn it. They got the car, put it in the lake, put on this huge show, pulled it out of the lake. Sammy was treated the way that she was because she moved up, because she played her part. I mean, I honestly think it's all connected, and that's just my thing. That's just me. That's just my opinion. Think for yourself. I'm just saying. It would not surprise me one freaking bit. And everybody should wonder. Look at nothing has leaked, right? No leaks at all from this case. Why do you think that is? Nobody will come out and say a damn thing. I'm pretty sure. You know what? Give me 1 second, you guys. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Let me do this here. If you guys haven't, please take a minute and hit that thumbs up. Please sub to the channel. All right. I'm looking something up for you guys real quick. Probably won't even let me down there. Let's just see. Let's just see if I can get in there. Probably not, though. That'd be my guess. Okay, wait. All right, so let me share my screen with you guys. Okay, so here's a little building here. There's a bunch of cars here. What the hell? Yeah, it won't let me go in there. It won't even let me go down that road. Go back. So let's just, yeah, you can't see nothing. I see a bunch of cars and stuff parked up, but you can't see. And why the fuck does it look like that? It's so bizarre. But yeah, no, you can't see. It won't let you see anything. So, because it's a big secret, you know? Yep. Okay. But so you guys, you know, like I said, think for yourself. Don't take my word for it, but it would make sense to me. Like, I would not be surprised one bit if I found out that they were connected. Not one freaking bit. And that's why that's why Lindsay is the way she is about the community. She's the community's child. And, you know, you had all these rich people in that area. I mean, it's not surprising. Okay. Let's move on, shall we? Oh, absolutely. Google is part of their Google's going to protect them. All right. Now this part of the video this is what I wanted to say. So yesterday, my video that I put out, which makes absolutely no sense, but I 100% watched the whole thing before I uploaded it to YouTube, and everything was fine. It didn't glitch, it didn't lag, it didn't skip, nothing. Everything worked fine. And then as soon as I uploaded it, it was all wacky. But this kind of goes into that. So the disinformation program, right? William Casey, the director of the CIA from 1981 to 1987, made this statement. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. Now, if you don't believe that, if you think that's, that's crazy, I mean, wake up, think again, because it makes so much sense. And when they flooded everything in 2013 with the Propaganda Act, where they could legally put out all this propaganda, all this false information, where they did that, that's exactly part of the plan to get to here. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. Oh, you heard Obama say himself, we'll flood it with just crap and sewage and, because once the people lose trust in their government, once the people lose trust in their politicians, then they're screwed. And they know it because there's many more of us than there is of them. So what is the idea? To make you, to throw this news at you, to throw this bullshit at you, to throw all this disinformation at you and call it true. So everything that you believe is ass backwards and wrong. And if you don't believe that that happens and you don't believe that that's a thing, then I'm sorry, you might be beyond hope. And that's just the way that is, because we're already at this point, right? We're already at this point. Look at the world. Look at everything the way that it is. I mean, how can you not see that? Okay. Let me just take a second and say hi to everybody that has come in. Thank you guys for being here. But yeah, let's go back to Arrow Creek Parkway for a second, okay? Arrow Creek Parkway is also another gated community. Now, I'm not an idiot. I know there's hundreds of thousands of gated communities out there, okay? I'm not an idiot. And not all of them are a part of this. But I 100% believe that whoever lives in that Arrow Creek Parkway gated community and where that 911 call was made that night, I would bet money that they are a member of Bee Grove. I would bet money. Yeah. Funny you mentioned Mark Twain at Bee Grove. He stated it is easier to fool somebody than it is to convince them that they were fooled. And that is 100% true. I could have a stack of papers, black and white. I could have black and white proof right in front of you. Well, some people, right? You could have a big ass thing of proof, black and white right there where they can see it, and they still won't believe it because the brainwashing and the disinformation is that deep. You know, why do you think that they make you go through 12 years of compulsory schooling and then they want you to go to college, right? Do you know how much they change you during those? They program you to sit down, shut up, believe what you're told, don't think for yourself, don't be successful. We need you to go out there and be a slave. We need you to go out there and be a 9-to-5er so we can get richer and you can barely make it. So you got to come back to work tomorrow. Schools don't teach kids to be successful, entrepreneur, own your own business. That's not what they do. They teach you to sit down, shut up, do what we tell you, believe what we tell you, and everything else is wrong. And that is 100% true. All right. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. It's good to know that there's some people that are still, it's good to know that there are some people that are awake and aware. What'd you do? Make it smaller? Hold on, guys.
No, you sure?
Well, wait a second. It's like so tight. Why is it like this? Baby doll?
It's supposed to.
Hold up. Wait, let's try to move it up more. There.
Wait, stop.
Okay, well, that's better. It's got to be up more. There you go.
Thanks.
Love you. Okay. Yeah, it's exactly right, Sass. They gaslight you into thinking that you can be successful. But you're not going to be successful with the tools that they are giving you. Hold on one second, guys. I got to shut this door. Okay. All right, now. Let me pull this up. Sorry. there is, like I said, there is some stuff that I'm going to pull up in here. And when I pull this certain stuff up, now I love you guys. I'm glad you're here. This is nothing against you. But when I do pull this certain stuff up, I am going to switch it over to members only chat. That will help me in my fight against YouTube, you know, with them wanting to censor me and all that. So that will help. All right. Let me get up here. Okay. So I pulled this up yesterday in my video, my wacky video that ended up not right. The Spanish Meteorological Agency has confessed that Spain is being sprayed with lead dioxide, silver iodide, and diatomite. Okay. Now us here, because of our propaganda, we are told, now I might lose some of you guys on this, but hey, this, whatever, it's your thing. So I don't know how many of you remember when you were a kid looking up at the clouds, and all of your clouds were big and puffy, and you could lay there and you're like, oh, that one looks like a dog, you know, or that one looks like a whale. Or now you look up in the skies and half of the cloud cover is this like white misty stuff that looks nothing like a cloud, right? But it expands across, you know, half your sky. And people today are like, that's clouds. And you're like, no, I'm sorry, that is not a cloud. Right? So I'm going to go in a little bit on chemtrails. And, you know, a lot of people call it a CT. I'm not one of those people because I've done research. There was a video of Trump on a CT plane. And they were walking him through the plane, explaining everything to him. Now, they will tell you that, oh, that's either just a contrail, right? But there are contrails, but they just disappear. They're there for a second and then they go away. Chemtrails do not go away. They stay there and then they spread out throughout the sky. And then when it rains, all of that stuff comes down onto the groundwater, onto the plants, the trees, yada, yada, yada. All right. So let me get off of this. Yeah, I see it every freaking day. Now, they'll tell you, oh, we are spraying to save the ozone layer. We are spraying to combat climate change. That's where I got to come in and say, you're full of shit. You're lying. Stop lying. Stop lying to the people, right? All right. Let me do this real quick. Oh, thanks, Sass. I try. Now, you guys can still listen, but you're not going to be able to chat unless you are a member for a minute. Well, just while I go through these things. Okay. Now, first, let me read this to you. Chemtrail CT. The chemtrail CT is the erroneous belief that long-lasting condensation trails are chemtrails consisting of chemical or biological agents left in the sky by high-flying aircraft, sprayed for nefarious purposes undisclosed to the general public. Believers in this CT say that while normal contrails dissipate relatively quickly, contrails that linger must contain additional substances. Those who subscribe to the theory speculate that the purpose of the chemical release may be solar radiation management, weather modification, physiological manipulation human population control, biological or chemical warfare, or testing of biological or chemical agents on a population, and that the trails are causing respiratory illnesses and other health problems. The claim has been dismissed by the scientific community. By the scientific community, the same people that told you, get this thing in your arm or you're going to die. Get this thing in your arm or you're going to kill your grandma. You know, get this. And now are coming out and saying, well, it was your choice. You know, all these people are having bad side effects, but we didn't make you do it. No, you just threatened to take people's jobs away. You just threatened to, you know, people couldn't go to work. People couldn't go see their families. People couldn't do this, that, and the other thing. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, the scientific community. There is no evidence that purported chemtrails differ from normal water-based contrails routinely left by high-flying aircraft under certain atmospheric conditions. Now, let me tell you, go outside, wait for a plane to go by. You can clearly see the ones that disappear right behind the plane and the ones that don't. So that's not misinformation. I mean, you can see it with your own eyes. Some disappear right away and others do not. Others will linger in the sky all day long, all day, and it'll slowly spread across the sky. Now, that's not me telling you misinformation. That's me saying, hey, go outside and look up. It's not rocket science. It's not hard. Go look for yourself. Although proponents have tried to prove that chemical spraying occurs, their analysis have been flawed or based on misconceptions. Because of the persistence of the CTs and questions about government involvement, scientists and government agencies around the world have repeatedly explained that the supposed chemtrails are in fact normal contrails. The term chemtrails blends the word chemical and trail, just as contrail blends condensation and trail. Okay? Now that I've gotten through that, let me pull up this clip right here for you guys, this video. Okay. Now, people, you can easily do this yourself. And I would highly suggest that after, you know, if you're going back and forth on this idea, take, you know, when you can see in your sky, which is pretty much every day now, but when you can see those trails or those misty cloud-like things that are not clouds in your sky, okay, put a jar outside, just an empty jar. Put a jar outside in your yard, so anywhere. When it rains, collect that rainwater in that jar and get that water tested. You will see all of the metals, all of the chemicals, and everything. People have done it. There are videos out there. I mean, you watch the people and they'll tell you. You can get that shit tested yourself, and then you'll know whether it's craziness or it's legit. So, I mean, here's a theory that you can actually test for yourself, and you will know the truth. Okay. All right. Now let me pull this up. Now this is from Alex Alexander. Now this was 9 years ago that this woman made this speech right here. This was 9 years ago. Just imagine how much worse it's gotten. But oh, you're funny. Like this, babe.
You don't need the knife.
No, that's not the right kind of. You need a bread knife. Here.
Oh.
There you go. Love you. Okay, so just listen to this for a few minutes. Let me go over here and mute myself.
Return in about 3 minutes. So our next speaker is Dr. Rosalind Peterson. She's the California president and co-founder of the Agriculture Defense Coalition, formed in 2006 to protect agricultural crop production from uncontrolled experimental weather modification programs. A very interesting topic, you know, for a non-specialized person like myself. But also very interesting in her CV that we have with you is also her extensive efforts to protect drinking water supplies from toxic chemical contamination in Martinez, California. That's a very interesting topic, of course, and I was actually wondering myself whether you can tackle whether the same experiments that you're holding in California could be extended to other world countries, particularly poor and developed countries like where we come from. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman. It is a pleasure to be here to speak with all of you today. One of the things that I would like to say is that we are in a global drumbeat right at the moment, talking about climate change and global warming. One of the things that is affected by climate change is agriculture. But some of what we are seeing is man-made, but man-made in a different way than you may guess. Weather modification programs, experimental ones done by private companies, done by the United States government, done by states across the United States are underway. There's more than 50 of them in operation across the United States. All of these impact agriculture because they change the microclimates needed for agriculture to survive. None of these programs that I know of today, and this is all public record, are available at any time with oversight, agricultural oversight or public oversight. These programs impact agriculture, and there are programs around the world. International corporations are modifying our weather all the time, and they're modifying it in ways that cover thousands and thousands of square miles. Most of it is chemically altered, so that what happens is that we are putting chemicals, ground-based chemicals that are shot into the air, or chemicals coming from airplanes that change and modify our weather. So one of the things that I'm concerned about and that we need to address in the future is how these programs are impacting microclimates needed for our crops to survive and needed for pollination. If we change the growing season, the pollinators may not survive, and also our crops, our flowers, and our tree crops may not get the pollination needed. So one of my areas is looking at this situation to see if we can begin to put under control experimental and other types of weather modification programs. The other issue is that a lot of times we're talking about mitigation for climate change. It's rather an undefined term at this period of time. And so what happens is that many times we're talking about artificially putting chemicals like sulfur or particulates into the atmosphere in what they call geoengineering schemes to reduce and help the planet, supposedly, but help the planet to not go through such a tremendous global climate change and to mitigate global warming. However, the incidence of putting chemicals into our atmosphere is going to change and impact agricultural crop production. And if you take and you put up into our skies chemicals to reduce the amount of sunlight reaching the earth, you are going to begin to reduce crop production. Studies at the University of Illinois on corn crop production show reductions. Without the process of photosynthesis, whereby plants from direct sunlight gain the energy to grow, to produce crops, we are going to find ourselves, if we mitigate in that direction, impacting the crop production not only here in the United States, but worldwide. One of the things that is impacting crop production right now in the United States and reducing photosynthesis and also impacting the ability of solar power panels to generate the type of power that they should is persistent jet contrails. NASA talks about persistent jet contrails as exacerbating global warming because they trap warmth in the atmosphere when they produce cirrus and man-made clouds. NASA also talks about that that these aircraft leaving persistent contrails are changing our climate. And when they change our climate to the degree that one jet can leave a persistent jet contrail, which will spread across our skies from what this picture up here on my left on the screen looks like, which is a trail left by a jet, that trail can expand to 4,000 kilometers and last for 20 hours. This was unheard of in the early 60s and the 70s, and it wasn't until the late 1980s that there was a change and we started to have persistent jet contrails that persist. NASA studies show that part of our global warming problem could be attributed to these types of contrails and the jets that leave them. So one of the issues as we go through is, how do you like your skies, natural or man-made? And right now we are making man-made clouds, and this is trapping warmth in our atmosphere. The climate change that is produced by these jets, not all jets, mostly some non-commercial, but what happens to our skies is that we start to see the changes. The man-made clouds do trap the warmth and they increase the humidity. This allows for pests to proliferate, diseases, molds, mildews, funguses, and viruses. This is a man-made cloud, ladies and gentlemen, and these pictures I took myself over Northern California, and this is a burst. This is where a jet left a huge plume, and then this turned in at the end of it to a burst, and this is not normal, never seen before in our county historically, and I was born and raised there. This is another picture showing the jet trail just before the burst. This is our skies. And I want you to know what you're seeing now. A lot of times, many scientists know, especially at NASA and in other areas, that the skies that we're seeing are not normal cloud formations. These are man-made. And what happens as we reduce the amount of sunlight in a form of global dimming, we reduce the solar power with these type of clouds, and we reduce photosynthesis, which is going to impact agriculture. The pictures look odd. The formations don't look like normal clouds that people have seen before historically. This is another type of man-made cloud, and what we have done and what you're seeing here is we have the photographs from the jet as a thin spindly trail to where they form into these different types of cloud formations. All of you can start looking up and seeing this. What happens is that there are experiments, and there's a color, you can see some color in this photograph. And part of what we're doing also is we're sending up canisters. The United States government, NASA, the US Air Force, is sending up canisters into the atmosphere filled with chemicals to modify and experiment with our and when we modify and experiment with our ionosphere up here, we create experiments which they can see through these persistent jet contrails as they stay in the sky for long periods of time, and they can watch the experiments. The type of chemicals they are using are aluminum, barium, strontium, and these canisters are sent up on rockets, and what they do is they superheat the canisters to create experiments in our atmosphere. The experiments can give you colorful auroras, which they talk about as being wonderful. Many times people think that the auroras in Alaska and the ones we see are normal, but there's beginning to be more and more seen across the United States and elsewhere where aluminum, trimethyl aluminum experiments to make clouds are beginning to impact us. The reason I am concerned for agriculture is that none of these experiments have any public oversight nor agricultural oversight. Our drinking water is impacted because the chemicals are now beginning to show up in our drinking water. In California, the State Department of Health drinking water tests were examined between 1970 and this year, and we found unusual spiking in barium, aluminum, strontium, magnesium, calcium, manganese. And all of these spiked at the same time in various drinking water supplies across the state of California and also in Arizona. So what's happening with these atmospheric tests is that aluminum, as one example, gets into, with increased pollution and acid rain, gets into the root systems of our crop trees and our trees, and it looks like the trees are dying of drought, but they're not. What happens is that the root systems can no longer absorb the water and the nutrients needed to survive. Many of our forests in Redding, California, and other areas are dying. The oak trees, the redwood trees, the Douglas fir across the United States, many areas. We believe that these trees are impacted because they cannot absorb enough water because aluminum is going into their root systems. Also, molds, mildew, and fungus from warmer temperatures produced by persistent jet contrails are also allowing pests and molds to proliferate, also impacting tree health and crop health. The skies that you see up here, it is important to note, have a white haze to them. When crossing the United States 2 days ago, we saw this man-made produced haze all the way across the United States. There were a few real clouds. We saw the persistent jet contrails from the jet windows, and the skies in the white haze looked a lot like this. So one of the things that we need to really look at is that jet fuel emissions contaminate our air, much as automobile exhaust. They know from scientific studies back in the 1970s that they deplete beneficial ozone in the atmosphere by releasing nitric acid. So one of the things that we need to look at is the impact of just jet fuel and just the emissions from jets as well. I want to go on and talk briefly about a couple of issues here that I think are important for everyone to realize. If we don't look at the problems that we are creating, the atmospheric testing programs, in other words, the jet contrails that are warming our climate, and we say to ourselves, we want to geoengineer something else. We want to add more particulates to help global warming or to stop climate change. What we're going to have is we're going to have a pea soup up there of chemicals which are going to be detrimental to our health. It is much better to take the EPA model of the 1970s, where the Environmental Protection Agency was designed to put in regulations to reduce the pollution at its source, to reduce and put caps on how much pollution corporations, cars, automobiles were putting into the atmosphere. One of the things that we're talking about as mitigation is to go into geoengineering plans which add more chemicals to our atmosphere, which are going to get into our drinking water supplies, which are going to get into our soils, which are going to impact.
I just want to pause for 1 second and say that the geoengineering that she's talking about right now, so you got to think this video was 9 years ago. So just imagine how much farther they've come in this deal as of right now. So that's what they tell you geoengineering is. They tell you that it's to combat the sun rays and it's to protect the ozone. But I mean, they're not going to come out and tell you, well, it's to make you sick. It's to kill the livestock. It's to get into your groundwater. It's to slowly take you out. I mean, they're not going to tell you that. But I mean, she's telling you right here. This is a woman who has studied this for years and years and years and years, right?
Our trees. Our trees across the United States, many of them in many areas, especially Mendocino, Lake, and Sonoma County, are dying. They are not healthy as they used to be. And this problem, having traveled across the United States into some other areas, seeing the pictures coming in from across the United States and other countries, we're finding that there's beginning to be an impact from all of these programs and all the chemicals in our skies. And so one of the things we need to think about and work for is reducing pollution. Alan Buckman from the California State Department in Fish and Game talked about microbes, and they're important to the environment. We have at our disposal already some technologies and already the wherewithal to begin to make the planet more healthy and to put it into a different perspective. But if we go to the geoengineering schemes that are waiting in the wings, thousands of them, to put the particulates up and sulfur, then we are going to be in trouble with agriculture across the United States and around the world. It is time that we look at some different solutions that are already here, and it's time that we look at what's happening in our skies and say we don't need to add any more chemicals, we are doing enough. And what these experiments in our skies are doing with atmospheric heating and testing, we don't know, but the chemicals are showing up in our drinking water. So in closing, I would like to say to all of you and to encourage you to know that just what I showed you today is beginning to impact crop production in the United States. And we're seeing higher UV radiation that is burning the tips of our trees and our plants. We see the molds and mildews growing here, and we see all of this, and we hope that all of you will consider before you think of mitigation and just go forward with some of the plans that are being sold to you as almost a cap and trade situation, where a corporation like Planktos decides to put iron dust into the Galapagos Islands area. This is a proposal, may have already started, and to create algae blooms. And yes, they're saying, yes, we're going to help the environment because we're going to create these algae blooms for more oxygen. But what happens is it's going to impact the marine life in those areas. As a geoengineering plan, it is going to be sold, the credits for this, the supposed benefits, is to be sold as credits to people who want to pollute more. And here's the really awful twist to this, in my opinion, is if we sell pollution credits to polluters to ask them so that they can pollute more, we're only going to add more to our climate change and to our global warming processes. We have to say, no, we don't want money market schemes that are going to go into the ocean and change something possibly to the detriment of our oceans or our air, in order to sell credits to someone who wants to pollute more. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a consideration for all of you when you start to talk about caps and trades, when you start to talk about geoengineering plans, because we don't need a money market scheme. We need to have and use the microbes available to us, the science available to us to reduce the pollution that we're putting into the atmosphere. And we need a new direction, and I think that this might be a good one. So I hope that all of you will consider what I have to say today.
Yeah. I mean, it's right there. You know, how can you argue with that? How can you say that it's not true? You know, how can she study this for freaking how many years? And she's telling you. And it's just gotten worse with the whole pushing of the geoengineering thing in anyway. So again, this video, let me see, was from Alex Alexander. But if you want to check it out yourself, go to agriculturaldefensecoalition.org and maybe you could still find it on there. Okay. I mean, it's just absolutely absurd, the kind of stuff. So let me, hold on, I'm going to open the chat back up for a minute. I need an assistant. You know what? I need an assistant over here. Okay, now I've opened the chat back up to subs. I will be closing it down again, though, to show a couple more videos, or to show a couple of more things. So she talked about, let me see, what do I want to pull up next? Actually, let me pull this up. It's about her. Let me go over here and I'll pull this up, so you guys can know a little bit about that woman that was just talking. Rosalind Peterson. Rosalind Peterson is California president and co-founder of the Agricultural Defense Coalition. The ADC was formed in 2006 to protect agriculture from a wide variety of experimental, weather, and atmospheric testing programs. Ms. Peterson also founded California Skywatch in 2002 when she began researching atmospheric testing and weather modification programs. The two websites are separate entities but are linked together by issues listed alphabetically in the categories section. Ms. Peterson was a keynote speaker to the 60th annual DPI NGO conference on climate change, in New York on September 5th through the 7th in 2007. She spoke about agriculture and the negative impacts of experimental weather modification programs on tree and plant health, which we just watched, along with other important issues. Since then, she has presented her United Nations PowerPoint presentation to colleges, universities, and interested groups. She has also been interviewed on numerous radio and television programs. In 1995, Rosalind, now retired, became a certified California United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, Farm Service Agency Agriculture Crop Loss Adjuster. Wow. She works in more than 10 counties throughout California. Many crop losses throughout the state can be attributed to weather-related causes. She worked for 5 years for the Mendocino County Department of Agriculture as an agriculture technologist before being hired by the USDA Farm Service Agency. Rosalind has a bachelor's degree from Sonoma State University in environmental studies and planning, with emphasis on solar power, photosynthesis, agriculture, crop production, and the efficient use of energy in the future. Ms. Peterson has won several awards and recognition for her extensive efforts to protect drinking water supplies in Martinez, California from toxic chemical contamination. She also writes articles on many subjects, including a protection of the environment from ongoing, unregulated atmospheric geoengineering experiments and weather modification programs. She was born and raised on a working farm in Mendocino County, located in Northern California, and from this early farm education feels that she has a working knowledge of agricultural, crop production, weather, and other difficulties faced by the agricultural community. So she's no dummy. She knows what she's talking about. She knows her stuff. So I just wanted to point that out. Hi, everyone that has just come in. Thank you guys for coming. Thanks for being here. Okay. So now let me go over here and pull this next thing up. Okay, now let's watch. Well, actually, no. First, I'll finish what I'm talking about over here. Okay. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm just pulling this stuff up here. Okay, this was October 17th, 2022. For those of you that do not know what HAARP is, it is a bunch of huge antennas used to push frequencies and to push things up into the atmosphere, which, not for nothing, does cause weather modification. Okay. Now, HAARP to begin largest set of experiments at its new observatory. Now, this was October 17th of last year. Bouncing a signal off the moon, learning more about mysterious polar light, sending a beam to Jupiter. Those are just some of the 13 experiments for a packed 10 days of science beginning Wednesday at the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, also known as HAARP. The University of Alaska Fairbanks operates the facility. Now that, yes, this is in Alaska. The number of experiments is the highest so far under a 5-year, $9.3 million grant awarded last year by the National Science Foundation to establish the Suborbital Geophysical Observatory at HAARP. The observatory's purpose is the exploration of Earth's upper atmosphere and geospace environment. The October research campaign is our largest and most diverse to date, with researchers and citizen scientists collaborating from across the globe. Now, when they take these things and push these frequencies and these waves up into the atmosphere, what do you think that does? Just like putting something unnatural inside your body, where your body is like, whoa, this is foreign, like we got to push this out, this is not good, it causes all kind of chaos, right? Same thing when they push these beams and these waves and these frequencies up into the atmosphere. It's screwing it up. It's making it do things that it's not supposed to do, aka weather modification. It's a real thing. The 10 days of operation includes researchers and others from UAF, NASA, Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California, Naval Research Laboratory, Cornell University, University of California, Berkeley, Canada Council for the Arts, Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, Virginia Tech, Los Alamos National Lab, and Aerospace Corp. Among the experiments is the moon bounce, a joint operation of the JPL Owens Valley Radio Observatory in California and the University of New Mexico Long Wavelength Array. The purpose is to test the coordination of the 3 facilities for the eventual study of near-Earth asteroids. That's what they tell you, especially those that can be a hazard to Earth. Knowing an asteroid's composition can influence the type of defense to be used. The experiment consists of transmitting a signal from HAARP to the moon and receiving the reflected signal at the California and New Mexico sites. University of California, Berkeley, scientists will try to learn what causes the unusual polar light known as a strong thermal emission velocity enhancement, or STEVE. This light, which is mostly a white or mauve color, appears as lower latitudes than the aurora. More scientists studying the aurora believe a STEVE occurs from a mechanism different from what creates the aurora. The Jupiter experiment, run by Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, aims to prove a method of observing planetary ionospheres by using Earth-based radio transmitters. Scientists have little information about the ionospheres of planets other than Earth, but believe them to be rich with information. On Earth, the ionosphere is a place within the upper atmosphere, extending to the interface with space. That is filled with particles that become electrically charged from interactions with the sun's energy, right? The experiment will send a beam to Jupiter and bounce it off the giant planet's ionosphere with the hope that it will be received at the New Mexico site. I mean, just knowing that they can do these things should make you step back and go, wait a second. I mean, if we can do stuff like this, right? If we can throw these beams and these transmit these frequencies and these waves up into the atmosphere and modify and change the weather, what can't we do? Right, guys? Jupiter is currently about 372 million miles from Earth. The experiment will stretch the transmitting ability of HAARP, which can produce up to, listen to this, 3.6 megawatts of power to the fullest. It will also test the receiving ability of the New Mexico site, which consists of 512 antennas. I'll just show you this picture. Look at all these. And this is miles and miles of antennas and transmitters. So, okay. The Air Force originally developed and owned HAARP, but transferred the research instruments to UAF in August of 2015. UAF operates the site under an agreement with the Air Force. Poker Flat Research Range, located at Mile 30 Steese Highway, will be involved in 3 of the experiments. The UAF Geophysical Institute owns Poker Flat and operates it under a contract with NASA's Wallops Flight Facility, which is part of the Goddard Space Flight Center. Pilots flying in the Golconda area are asked to check with Federal Aviation Administration for temporary flight restriction details. Because I mean, they can't have planes flying through there when they're emitting these frequencies and these waves and this shit up into the atmosphere, right? Craziness. I mean, this is crazy stuff, but this, guys, is a real thing. Again, this, don't take my word for it. Go do your own research. Okay. Let me go over here and see what you guys are. Yep, 2020. Yep, that is correct. Hold on, let me go over here. Let me pull this up. There was a government document published, I think, by the Navy that had the outline for what this project is all about. They had a timeline of completion, I think, for 2025. Absolutely. Okay. No, let me show you this other thing before I move on to this next thing. All right, HAARP and weather modification, a step toward the technological singularity. Artificial intelligence is also likely to be used to conduct remote weather modification, and this is something the government has been working on for years without the public's knowledge. To keep people in the dark about this, the NWO has been conducting HAARP experiments on the general public to create a new technological age dependent on the sky instead of nature. Artificial intelligence is also likely to be used to conduct remote weather modification, and this is something the government has been working on for years without the public's knowledge. The HAARP High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program System is an advanced type of radio that has been used for military purposes for years, but more recently, the U.S. government has been using the system for weather modification. This is something that the public needs to get used to if this technological singularity is going to be implemented. 100%. 100%. But again, guys, don't take my word for it. Go and research this all yourself. The information is out there. Okay. Nikola Tesla figured this out 100 years ago. We could have had a relatively infinite energy that long ago. Sadly, we went the route of charging per watt. I mean, Tesla went in, had all of this information. Yes, had a whole infinite, never-ending energy that could have ran everything. But the government said, well, we can't have that. We can't have that. We have to own that. So they literally went in, took everything from him, destroyed everything else that they didn't, want out there. And that was it. Okay. Now let's move on. Oh, wait. Let me get it. Okay. All right, let me pull this up. Now, this just happened, you guys, April 26th. HHS whistleblower Tara Lee Rodas tells Congress Biden administration is middleman in multi-billion-dollar migrant child trafficking operation. She did speak to Congress. HHS whistleblower Tara Lee Rodas testified today in front of the House Judiciary Committee. Rodas told Congress that today in the United States, children will work at a slaughterhouse, factories, and restaurants to pay their debt to the smugglers, traffickers, and cartels. And the U.S. government has become the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation run by bad actors seeking to profit off the lives of children. Okay? Now, I'm going to, let me do this real quick, and I'll come back to that. Let me do this. Sorry, guys. I got to do this just while I actually, you know what? Forget it. I'll just play it. Forget it. They're probably going to be mad at me anyways. So. Okay. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm pulling this up.
Children will work overnight shifts at slaughterhouses, factories, restaurants to pay their debts to smugglers and traffickers. Today, children will be sold for sex. Today, children will call a hotline to report they are being abused, neglected, and trafficked. And we don't know if they're going to get the help they need. For nearly a decade, unaccompanied children have been suffering in the shadows. And I have to confess, I knew nothing about their suffering until 2021, when I volunteered to help the Biden administration with the crisis at the southern border. As part of Operation Artemis, I was deployed to the Pomona Fairplex Emergency Intake Site in California to help HHS, Office of Refugee Resettlement, reunite children with sponsors in the United States. I thought I was going to help place children in loving homes. Instead, I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with recruiting in home country, smuggling to the US border, and ends when ORR delivers a child to a sponsor. Some sponsors are criminals and traffickers and members of transnational criminal organizations. Some sponsors view children as commodities and assets to be used for earning income. This is why we are witnessing an explosion of labor trafficking. Now, whether it's intentional or not, it could be argued that the United States government has become the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation that is run by bad actors seeking to profit off of the lives of children. As for me, my interest is the safety of the children. I do not view this as a political issue. I view this as a humanitarian issue. I assure you, my motives are the highest and best. I want the children protected. So I want to tell you some of what I witnessed personally at the Pomona Fairplex. I saw vulnerable indigenous children from Guatemala who speak Mayan dialects and cannot speak Spanish. That means they cannot ask for help in English. They cannot ask for help in Spanish.
Okay. Now I'm going to pull this article up that tells that I was just had up there, because that was only a little bit of what she said. Where'd it go? Crap. On Wednesday, Rhodes told Congress that in the U.S., children will work in slaughterhouses, factories, and restaurants to pay their debt to the smugglers, traffickers, and cartels. She also warned that the U.S. government had become the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation on the border. Today, not my bad. There was no one with law enforcement experience overseeing where children are going. I wonder how long this one is. This might be, let me see.
Good afternoon, Chairman McClintock. Ranking, children will call a hot. Instead, an explosion of labor, highest and best. I want the.
Okay, so here, I'm going to play the rest of this, actually. we'll play this one. This one's a few minutes longer of her speech. So I will share this with you guys. Hold on, let me get to that point where we just left off.
Was going to help place children in loving homes. Instead, I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with recruiting in home country, smuggling to the US border, and ends when ORR delivers a child to a sponsor. Some sponsors are criminals and traffickers and members of transnational criminal organizations. Some sponsors view children as commodities and assets to be used for earning income. This is why we are witnessing an explosion of labor trafficking. Now, whether it's intentional or not, it could be argued that the United States government has become the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation that is run by bad actors seeking to profit off of the lives of children. As for me, my interest is the safety of the children. I do not view this as a political issue. I view this as a humanitarian issue. I assure you, my motives are the highest and best. I want the children protected. So I want to tell you some of what I witnessed personally at the Pomona Fairplex. I saw vulnerable indigenous children from Guatemala who speak Mayan dialects and cannot speak Spanish. That means they cannot ask for help in English. They cannot ask for help in Spanish. They become captives of their sponsors. I have sat with case managers as they've cried to tell me the horror of what has happened to children as they make the journey to this country. I saw apartment buildings where 20, 30, and 40 unaccompanied minors have been released. I saw sponsors trying to simultaneously sponsor children from multiple ORR sites at one time. I saw sponsors using multiple addresses to obtain sponsorships of children. And I saw numerous cases of children in debt bondage, and the child knew they had to stay with the sponsor until the debt was paid. Realizing that we were not offering the children the American dream, but instead putting them in modern day slavery with wicked overlords was a terrible revelation. A terrible revelation. These children are a captive victim population with no access to law enforcement or knowledge of their rights. They are extorted, abused, neglected. And that is why I blew the whistle in 2021. I witnessed firsthand the horrors of child trafficking and exploitation. My life will never be the same after what I saw. But I have hope because I'm counting on you. It's my hope that you'll take action to end this crisis, to safeguard the lives of most of these vulnerable children. People have asked me, what can be done? What would you suggest? Well, first, I think HHS's #1 priority is oversight. They must commit to oversight, transparency, and accountability. If I could wave a magic wand, this, I believe, could be quickly solved by experts in the IG community. There is a Pandemic Analytics Center of Excellence, or the PACE, as we call it. I believe if data analysts at the PACE could look at the data, children could be rescued, criminals could be prosecuted. If the PACE had access to this data, it shows where the children are and who has them. I think also we need to change the culture of speed over safety. Speed is the wrong performance measure when dealing with children. We need to revamp the vetting process of sponsors and have case managers who have investigative backgrounds, data analytics backgrounds, some certified fraud examiners. And I think we need to reimagine a system where the sponsor is the accountable party. Sponsors should be required to report to ORR. And lastly, Stop retaliating against whistleblowers. Stop retaliating against the people.
I just want to say one thing. Yes, please share this video, this live right now, because people need to know what is going on, and they may remove this video. They just may, which is total BS, but it is the world that we live in. So please watch it, share it, get it to as many people as possible before they pull it. Okay. And I did want to say that, do you guys see, let me go over here. Do you guys see this woman who is sitting back here laughing and rolling her eyes? Yeah. My guess is she knows exactly what's going on. And she thinks it's funny. She thinks this is a laughing matter. Yep. Okay. Let me just go finish this. It's almost over.
People who are trying to tell the truth to save the children. As it is written, a wise man listens to advice while a fool continues in his folly. And HHS needs to be wise to care for these children.
Thank you very much.
It is absolutely absurd. Okay. Let me go, and I'm going to open the chat back up to my subs. What a pain this is. I need a freaking assistant. Okay. Let me go back over here now. It's crazy, and it is happening. And, I just think people need to be aware. People need to be aware of what is going on. Let me go back over to this article that I was reading. Okay. A whistleblower who viewed firsthand what she testified is a sophisticated network of child migrant smuggling into forced labor and other forms of slavery is calling on Congress to act to crack down on the U.S. role in that network. Now, can I just say that let's send prayers that this woman remains safe and is not retaliated against for coming out and speaking the truth. The hearing, the Biden border crisis, exploitation of unaccompanied alien children, was held by the House Judiciary Committee on Immigration Integrity, Security, and Enforcement, and included Health and Human Services, HHS whistleblower Tara Lee Rodas as a witness. Rodas, who was detailed with HHS at an emergency intake site in Pomona, California on Wednesday, told lawmakers about what she experienced on the ground. And we all just heard her testimony. Now, according to Customs and Border Protection statistics, the number of unaccompanied alien children, UACs, who arrive at the border was swelled from 33,000, there's that number again, in fiscal year 2020 to more than 146,000 in fiscal year 2021 and 152,000 in fiscal year 2022. So far in fiscal year 2023, there have been more than 70,000 encounters of UACs. When child migrants are encountered at the border, they are transferred into the custody of HHS and then united with a sponsor, typically a parent or family member already in the U.S. But if they don't have that, they are transported to a sponsor whom could be anything and anyone. But the administration has been hit by a number of New York Times reports detailing a rise in child exploitation where children are forced into the labor force, sometimes to pay back their smuggling costs. It has led to concerns that by transporting children to sponsors, the U.S. is involved in child trafficking. The Times reported how officials reportedly ignored signs of explosive growth in child labor. Whether intentional or not, it could be argued that the U.S. government has become the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation that is run by bad actors seeking to profit off the lives of children, she said. It's crazy, you guys. It's crazy. So, I mean, kudos to her for coming out and telling the truth. But I just pray that she remains safe and, everything. This was horrifying. Yes. Yes, you guys can all, if you're interested, go and watch the full hearing. I mean, it's stuff everybody should be aware of and know about. And, it's what's happening, guys. Okay. So now let me move on. So those of you, now I am not a big celebrity person, right? I'm really not. I don't look up to any celebrities. They're just people, right? People who have been brainwashed and sold out. That's what celebrities are. Okay. But I did see I was going through Twitter, and there is a bunch of very inappropriate tweets from Chrissy Teigen. I don't know if everybody knows who that is, but she's like John Legend's wife, I guess. So we're going to go over some of her tweets. And I'm wondering why this woman is not in custody. I'm wondering why this woman has not been arrested for the things that she has said. Okay. Now let me go over here. Jeez. Can I just ask you guys, sponsor equals anybody. They had evidence that sponsors were acting as pimps to underage girls. Yes. Yes. Okay, so let me pull these up. Okay, now here are a bunch from her. All right, here's one where she says, I just saw a baby. No, this was 2009. I just saw a baby that looked like a PORN star, like a trashy, do-nothing PORN star. Is this wrong to think? Yeah, I would say so. I am going to jail over pizza. Skinny PEDOS drink Pedalite. Water slide that goes through a shark tank. F yeah, time to get my PEDO on. This is insane to me. Let's see, 2009, 2013, 2012, 2011, 2014. If you said, no, this is another, I'm just reading her tweets right now, okay? If you said, eat this one bite of human and you can eat any other meat the rest of your life, or Chrissy, you eat turkey forever, I would definitely eat human. Now she says here, as she's replying to somebody, nah, he just said the cleanest and best. I don't even feel comfortable reading this, but you guys can read it. It's right here. For those of you that are like driving or are not looking at a screen right now, I'm sorry, but I'm not reading that. I'm not even going to read those words, but it's bad. Okay. Now that's just some of them. Here's another one. Seeing little girls do the splits, half NAKED, she's talking about toddlers on tiaras, is just ... I want to put myself in jail. Can somebody please explain to me why this lunatic is not locked up in a facility? Can someone please explain to me why this woman who has said all of these very, very inappropriate things about young children is not in jail? Okay, there's one of them. All right. Now let me go over here. Oh, you can't. There is no denying pizza GATE after all the things that have been released. There's no way. Okay, here's some more. Oh, there's the one. Now this one, she says, I like to add a pinch of baby powder to the flour when I fry chicken so it smells like toddler booty. Yeah. Yeah, that's what she said. Like, how is somebody putting out these tweets and not freaking being, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's insane to me. Okay, here's another one. Sorry, I gotta go over here and pull this up. Keep forgetting to do that. Here's some more of her tweets, okay? It always wears me out how strong little toddlers' tummies can look. And yes, I am aware of how absolutely disturbing that sounds. That was in 2011. Here's another one from her. A belly and a shirt with a small SEXY toddler on it saying number 1, duh. I mean, okay, well, I think she should be locked up. And there's so many. Now here, get out of here. Fly. Okay. Now here's one that she put out in June 12th of 2011. I'm about to Anthony Weiner this kid. We all know what he did, right? Mr. Inappropriate, sending messages to young children that he shouldn't have been sending dirty pictures to. But yeah, just be on, like, seriously. It's absurd to me. Okay, now let me, hold on. Let me go over here. Just a reminder to please hit that thumbs up. Please sub to the channel. They're both free ways to help out the channel. We try to spread awareness and try to spread light and try to dim the darkness. That's all we're trying to do, is spread light to expose the darkness and, you know, let people be aware, like, of what is going on. Ignorance is not bliss. It just makes you look like a fool. Bottom line. Okay. Let's go. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, so the last thing I have for this is this clip of this kid in school talking to his teacher. Now, let me play this for you. When they Nerdy Addict posted this, it said, Sunday service on a Wednesday. This kid became iconic for this. All right, so let's play this. Talking to his lazy teacher.
If you would just get up and teach them instead of handing them a freaking packet, yo. There's kids in here who don't learn like that. Bye. They need to learn face to face. You're just getting mad because I'm pointing out the obvious. No, and you're wasting my time. No, I'm not wasting your time. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you what you need to do. Get out. You want kids to come into your class? You want them to get excited for this? You got to come in here. You got to make them excited. You want a kid to change and start doing better? You got to touch his freaking heart. Can't expect the kid to change if all you do is just tell him. You gotta take this job serious. This is the future of this nation. And when you come in here, like you did last time, and make a statement about, oh, this is my paycheck. Indeed it is. But this is my country's future and my education. I respect that. Can you go outside, please? But there's a limit. When I'm not bitching, but simply making an observation. Okay. And now I will leave. You're welcome.
I freaking love that. I love that. I love that he stood up to his lazy teacher who was like, listen, this is my paycheck. And, you know, told her like it was. But that's the problem with schools, you guys. They aren't teaching kids. They don't want you excited. They want you to just do what you're told and shut up. Don't question what we say and just go along with the narrative. 100% that is what schools are teaching kids today. 100%. Okay, so yeah. So please hit that thumbs up, please sub. Those of you that want to do more, you want to join and become a member of the family, we would love to have you. Those of you, we got a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we are trying to get up and going. We have a lot going on here at the house. We're trying to get some more animals, get some stuff going on outside, be completely sustainable. The idea is to be completely self-sustainable. Because the way this world is going, we're definitely going to need to head in that direction. So anybody that wants to donate to the channel to help out, links are all down in the description below, Cash App, PayPal, everything like that. Everybody, now the whole idea of this video was to listen. These are real things that are going on. This is reality. So people need to be aware. You know, people really do. And when you learn that it's us versus them and they're not here for us, they're not working for us, it's supposed to be, but it's not. So it is us against them. Okay. And we all need to be aware. We all need to be awake to the things that are going on. And that was the whole point of this video. Now, I do not know how long this live will be up. My guess, not very long. But please share it. Please spread this information. You know, this is stuff that everybody should be aware of. And like I said, anybody that wants to help out, you know, links are all down in the description below. Now, I love you guys. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe. Keep asking those hard questions, and let's keep spreading that light. Every day, when we spread that light, we make the world a little bit brighter. Okay? When we expose this garbage and the more people that are awake and the more people that are aware of what is going on, the bigger the light gets. And that's all I'm trying to do here, guys. Okay? But again, I am not telling you anything. Go research everything for yourself. Do not take my word for it. God gave you a brain. Use it. Use those critical thinking skills that they tried to squash out of you in school. Okay? Just spread that light. I love you guys. I will see you next time. Thank you all for being here.